Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. What day is it at this point? Tuesday. I think it is. Who knows? The playoffs are in full swing. We're watching games every single night. There's all kinds of news going on. Who knows who's going to coach my Lakers? At this point, it might be me. I don't know. But we've got tons to talk about on today's show, including that Lakers coaching search. We're going to talk a little bit about Jason Kidd. We'll talk about Thunder Mavs. Holy moly, what a game that was. We'll talk about some injuries. We'll talk about, an unfortunate draft injury that we'll get into. Lots of things for us to talk about on today's show. I am Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith. Keith, let's just go right into it because I have not been able to stop thinking about that Thunder Mavs game from last night. That was for a kind of low-scoring, knock-em, rock-em, sock-em robots type fight. That game was phenomenal and so exciting down the stretch, the way OKC came back. And now we've got a series knotted at 2 apiece.
Yeah, we absolutely do have a series. I thought it was very interesting in the course of that game. I tweeted this. It felt like the Thunder, I think they were down 4 at the time. And I was like, they're down 4, but it also feels like they're getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like Dallas all night long should have been up more. And really, OKC, like the fun thing sometimes in the playoffs is we've talked about how young they are, but sometimes you get to watch a team kind of grow up right before your eyes.
Yeah.
And like they got so locked in on defense. They started making stops on just about every trip. They got out and ran for some buckets. Then SGA did what he does. He just got to his spots, got to where he needed to be to make plays. And yet, even when they took control, Dallas was still right there. Like Dallas had the ball in the final minute, I think 2 different times with real chances to tie and just couldn't get it done, including a couple, or not more than a couple. It was like 11 missed free throws or something like that on the night. I think they only shot like 50% or something, 52%. So just really tough for Dallas to go down that way. But man, the Thunder are tough. And that game 5 crowd, it's going to be bonkers. Like that's one of the best crowds in the league. They're going to be absolutely, maniacs ready to go for this team and try to lift them. I also think Mark Daigneault, you saw, he's not messing around anymore. Josh Giddey played 12 minutes.
Yep.
Gordon Hayward did not see the floor. Kenrich Williams get out there, and what did Kenrich Williams do? Knocked a few guys over and made sure they knew. So, like, you're in a spot where he is now cutting his rotation down. He's going to the guys he knows are going to give him something, and that's huge because now the Thunder are in a place where they've kind of pulled their adjustments. Now it's up to the Mavs to figure out what they can do.
What I think is so impressive too with this Thunder team right now is you look at the rotation, you look at the guys, a couple of guys who really pop through. Obviously, Chet Holmgren is going to pop pretty much every time, right? Like he's going to be fantastic. But technically, and I know people will argue, he's a rookie, right? But the other guy that I thought made some really big plays for them was Cason Wallace, who here we are in round 2 of the playoffs. You're playing up against Luka, you're playing up against Kyrie, and there's Cason Wallace out there making plays as a rookie, and that's who inherited some of those Josh Giddey minutes. 19 minutes for Wallace in this one. That was really cool to see guys like that stepping up. You're right, it's going to be a madhouse in Oklahoma City going back, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, this series has been fun in general. I was surprised at how poorly Kyrie shot the ball. He's been so clutch, and he had a few misses that were just uncharacteristic of him. But that was all it took. The Thunder shot 96% from the free throw line. The Mavs shot 52%, and that was all she wrote. That ended up being the difference in the game. You had an off shooting night out of Kyrie, and now we're going back 2-2. I still have my sense is this was kind of an off night for Dallas. I think the Mavs are probably the better team, but not by a lot. It's close enough to where if the Mavs have, say, a poor free throw shooting night, they're going to lose. It's close enough. But I do think the Mavs, despite feeling like the momentum has now swung towards OKC, I still think the Mavs pull this one out.
Yeah, and this was one OKC had to win this game. Not just because of the whole 3-1 stuff. Luka and Kyrie combined for 27 points. Not 27 points each, 27 points total, right? If I'm reading this right. Yeah, 18 points for Luka, 9 for Kyrie. They combined to shoot 10 for 31 from the field. Oof. If you're the Thunder and you lost that game, that's the kind of loss that sticks with you all summer long. Because you're like, how did we lose that one? and they didn't. They pulled it out. They ended up winning the game. I think there's a good chance the series goes 7. I think to your point, I think these teams are pretty evenly matched in terms of a lot of stuff. I think I kind of lean your way too a little bit with Dallas, but I think we're going to get a 7-game series out of this one, and it's we all win if that happens. Like
Sure.
That's game 7 in Oklahoma City
With Luka and SGA.
with Luka, SGA, Kyrie. Jalen Williams. Like, sign me up all day. I'm there. I'll take, play it 9, best of 9 or best of 11. I don't care. Like, let's keep it going. I would love it.
The funny thing is that historically, because we're saying, hey, 7 games and the Mavs would win. Historically, that doesn't happen very often. The home team tends to win game 7, but I could see, this Mavs team is going to be hard to put away. And like you said, a lot of things had to go right for OKC in this one in terms of Luka's shooting, Kyrie shooting, OKC themselves shooting 96% or whatever at the free throw line. Some of those things probably won't happen, most nights. So I think it's going to be, I personally think it probably goes 6. I think the Mavs get the next 2. I think they're going to be upset after this one and they're going to get the next 2. But if it does go 7, I will be extremely happy. Keith, we don't even need to talk about it. The Celtics bye to the finals continues. Why even make them play the games at this point? There's nobody left standing in their way. This is like Moses parting the sea, right? It's just like everybody that could play against them is just injured and washed away, and it's like a free pass to the finals. It's like the opposite of what the Lakers did in the early 2000s when they had this gauntlet they had to run through the Western Conference. Then when they got to the Eastern Conference Finals opponent, they just went, oh, cool, we get free wins here because we're playing the Nets or whoever. It's like the opposite of that, where the Celtics, they're not going to be tested until they get to the finals and they deal with whoever it is that comes out of the Western Conference.
Yeah, they did. A lot of what you're saying is true with the Celtics. The big thing is, and it's been this way for a while, they don't always bring it the way they should. What's been good to see this year is both series, they lost game 2 at home. Both series, they went and won both road games. Like, that's big. Teams don't usually do that. A lot of times, if you lose one at home, you're coming back home in game 5 tied 2-2. Maybe you get one on the road because that becomes the goal, right? Just get home court advantage back, turn it into a 3-game series, all the cliche stuff there. But they went out and got 2 in both. And the 2 Miami games were blowouts. The only Miami game was close to one that they lost. All the other games were blowouts. They blew the Cavs out in game 1. They blew the Cavs out in game 3. Last night was close. And what has everybody been harping on this Celtics team for years? They can't close games. They blow it down the stretch. They don't know how to finish. Well, they finished. They made plays. They made it real messy. They probably should have won by 20, but with 6 minutes left, they started playing like morons. And then with about 3 minutes left, they kind of like, you know what, we got to play the way we got here. And they had some drive and kick. They had some big baskets. They hit their free throws down the stretch. They got some stops, and they get out with a win. Like, it should have been more points, but you know what? I don't remember ever looking up at a banner in any of the arenas I've been in and seeing the point differential hanging up. Sure. No, it's whether you hang a title or not. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you get 16. You get 16 wins by 1 point apiece. Doesn't matter. No one cares. All anybody cares is that you got the 16 wins. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the big part that matters here when we're looking at historically. People will remember whether you won or lost. They're not going to remember exactly how you did it, or unless it was something particularly remarkable, you get a buzzer beater or something like that. But they're not going to. Years from now, people aren't going to go, oh, well, they had an easy path. I will, but most people won't, right? Most people won't.
Hey, you know what? Easy path or not, if they hang 18, I don't really care.
Exactly. Oh, I'd be the exact same way.
I'd be the exact same way. I don't care at all. Like, I don't care if the next round the Knicks and the Pacers decide, we forfeit because collectively we have 5 guys left. Like, great. Perfect.
Can they just combine their teams at this?
Right.
You do in a rec league where where you've got like 3 kids out on vacation, 1 kid's got the flu or whatever, so you wind up picking up a couple of kids from the other team and off you go. That may be what needs to happen with the Knicks and the Pacers.
What would that be, like the Indiana picks or something like that? like and then they show up and just play, and they play home games in like Cleveland halfway between. I will say this with Boston: get it done in 5. Don't play with your food here. finish this off, get it done. Al Horford needs a break. Like he played, he's been playing too much. He has to because Kristaps Porzingis is out.
Mm-hmm.
But get the rest of the guys off their feet. This has been an extremely physical series because that's what happens a lot of times with underdogs. They have to muck it up, right? Like they need to get super physical with you. They're going to bang you. They're going to hit you. Get these guys off their feet for a few days. Don't mess around. Finish this out in 5. You extend the series. That's when things start going a little weird, right? They can get a little wonky. Get it done in 5, finish it out, and get off your feet for a few days while Knicks Pacers probably battle it out at least 6. We know for sure, but I think there's a good chance that one goes 7 too.
Keith, so there's when I'm looking at this series from the Cavs side, obviously no Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people are going to focus on, well, if they lose, does that mean Donovan Mitchell's not going to stay? Is he going to leave? Is he going to be put on the trade market? Who knows where that's going to go? What I want to know is if let's say this only goes 5, what happens to JB Bickerstaff?
Yeah, that could be one of those we're not going to change the entire roster. Let's go for a new coach situation. Yeah. I think that's a little unfair. Like I think he's done a nice job growing this team forward from the post LeBron years and into a team that's been a playoff team. I think he's done a really nice job, and it's been tough, right? They don't have Mitchell, they don't have Allen. That's been hard. They still got through the first round with Mitchell injured, right? He wasn't playing up to his full potential due to the injury, and Allen was out into that series. Still got through that round. So I'd like to see them give another year. If they do give him another year, though, that's going to be one if they're like 10 and 15 at like Christmas or something, where we might hear the Cavs are going to make a change. They're going to move on because I think it'll be a very short leash next year if he does come back. But yeah, I mean, some of it depends on if they go down in game 5 and lose by like 40. That's the kind of thing that unfortunately ends up if a coach is even on the balance of coming back or not. That's the kind of thing that can get a coach fired.
Yeah, and so that's going to be something that'll be an interesting subplot to keep an eye on for whatever is left of this series if they do wind up making a move or not. And of course, I bring that up not just to talk about the Cavs, but also to bring into our discussion the current coaching market. Because right now you've got the Washington Wizards, you've got my Lakers, 2 teams that are, well, they may have some crossover in the coaches that they're looking at. They're in very, very different situations. Should the Cavs come out of the market, they're closer to the Lakers mindset right now, that they're trying to win right now. And so that would put an interesting dynamic out there on the coaching market. And it's going to be something where if this series goes short and they finish it quickly, maybe the Cavs do decide to move on. And then the Lakers have some competition for their next head coach.
Yeah, it's a really good point. We're going to get into it here in a moment. Some of the guys that are rumored for the Lakers, and we'll move into that now. Yeah, a couple of those guys definitely, I think, would be on Cleveland's radar for sure. The JJ Redick one, I don't know, right? We'll see. Yeah. I can openly say, and this isn't a criticism of JJ Redick or the Lakers for considering him. We know the Hornets considered him too. It is a little weird, right? He hasn't been a coach before. He'd be kind of coming from making a weird transition from being a player to a broadcaster to a coach. But I think there's a world where JJ Redick is an absolutely wonderful coach. The difference is he is not just a media guy coming in. He was a player, so he gets it, right? He understands a lot of stuff with that. He's somebody that players either loved or they loved to hate, right? When he played, because it was like, man, they just can't, like, that guy annoys me, but he's really good. There's always a healthy level of respect. And if you've watched the things he does now with the media, he's fantastic. Like, he is great. Like that part would actually suck for all of us that are fans because we lose him on that side, right? Because we're not going to get his breakdowns. James Borrego is a guy I could see Cleveland maybe saying he's a good offensive coach. He runs good stuff. He creates good stuff. And the Cavs' issue is not defense. Some of their issue is how do you make an offense work? There's a lot of that could be a thing. And then Sam Cassell is another guy. He's kind of been doing the circuit, right? Of doing some interviews each year. He's another guy I could see the Cavs go to say former player. Importantly, former guard. Right? Like we're going to be driven by guards, especially if we keep Donovan Mitchell. Let's get him in there. A guy, as a point guard and really understands and can help build those guys up and get them there. So yeah, definitely I could see some crossover. Who, if it is one of those three guys right now, do you have a preference as a Lakers guy on which one you want?
At this point, it feels like there's so much momentum building towards JJ Redick, but they haven't even done as far as I know. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe they did it today. I know they were gonna. There's some talk that maybe they would meet up at the draft combine, but they're just starting the interview process. So, well, it feels like things are pushing towards JJ Redick, but you look at what's out there in terms of what the Lakers want reportedly, which is a lot. They want. Their list, I made a joke about it on X, but their list of things they want somebody who can win now with LeBron. They want somebody who, because they expect LeBron to play 2 more years, or roughly, right? 1 to 2 more years. They want somebody who 2 years from now can win with the 33-year-old Anthony Davis. They want somebody who can also at the same time develop players for the future while commanding the respect of the locker room, and someone who is a tireless worker, a grinder is the word that they put out there. Or can game plan tirelessly. Calls into question, did they think those things were not true of Darvin Ham? Probably. But so they're asking for a lot. But when I get into all of that stuff that they're looking for, to me, it kind of screams Sam Cassell. Now, I still think JJ is the most likely result here, but Sam Cassell's name wasn't linked until this morning, till the Shams piece this morning. That's when he suddenly jumped into the fray. But he kind of makes some sense in a lot of ways, especially if you look at what the team is looking for. So I don't know. Like, it almost feels like James Borrego is just kind of being added in to give legitimacy to the whole process because he's a former head coach. And I don't mean to disparage him at all or anything like that, but he feels like the very, very safe pick. JJ Redick is the very unknown wild card pick. Sam Cassell feels like, the just right, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, the middle bowl of porridge or whatever. Seems like the perfect mixture of both those things.
Yeah, there's a good point there. I think James Borrego is a good coach. I thought he did a nice job with the Hornets in a tough spot. And I quite frankly thought they reacted way too quickly. I don't understand what they thought they should have been, that James Borrego wasn't getting them there. I thought he had done a good job kind of building that team up. So I wouldn't hate it if that's the way the Lakers went. Sure. I think he'd be a really good coach. Yeah, it is funny. Just because people have to make jokes, it was like the Lakers can't afford the extra credits for a longer Zoom meeting, so they had to wait till everybody was in Chicago. Like, what's going on? Like, why is everybody else moving on and they're just starting? Part of it is you'd rather do this in person, and everybody's in Chicago right now. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the deal right now. Is it's just, hey, if these guys are already here, let's do this. Obviously, Sam Cassell is not. That's going to have to be some kind of virtual meeting, or maybe they popped over to Cleveland yesterday. Who knows? Maybe Sam Cassell popped over to Chicago and he's going to re-meet Boston in Boston for Game 5. That does happen sometime in these spots. So was it going to be a practice day anyway for the Celtics? You don't practice with only one day in between games. So I don't have any issue with them waiting. I don't think it was there. I saw some stuff of like, well, they already missed out on Mike Budenholzer. I mean, maybe. We don't know that, though. We don't know that they were going that direction. And maybe they did, but if they did, so be it. That's water under the bridge now. You gotta move on to what's next. I'm kind of with you. To me, it kind of feels like it's Sam Cassell's turn, right? Like it's just his time to get there. I also understand if I could fully get it if the Lakers are like, we can't go with another first-time head coach. Like, it's just rare. And that's not a Lakers thing. That's very few teams follow a first-time head coach with another first-time head coach. Like, it's just a pretty rare thing. Like, it was considered like crazy that the Celtics did it when they promoted Missoula, but that was more of a, hey, camp starts in a week. Like, we got to do something. We need a coach, and Brad Stevens wasn't going to do it. So, we got to figure this out. So but I don't know. I don't really have an issue with any of these three guys. I think they'd all be fascinating, interesting for a lot of reasons.
That's the hard part, is I can make a case for any of them. They specifically want somebody that can be a long-term coach, which I mean, who goes into a coaching hire? Very rarely do you see a team go in saying, "Hey, we want to fire this guy in a year or two." Like that's not
Poor
typically a
Steve
thing.
Clifford in Charlotte.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying there are
yeah,
some
yeah,
okay
sure.
where a team goes in knowing, hey, this is just the bridge here to get us to, where we need to go. But it's rare that you see a team come out and say, oh, well, we don't want this to be a long-term hire. So of course, but they do say, hey, we want this to be somebody that can grow with the team. I mean, JJ Redick has zero coaching experience. Nobody's going to grow more than him, right? Because he's coming. So you can make an argument for any of these guys. Keith, I put it out there on X. I summed it up this way. I said, essentially, the way I look at it, this is mostly in terms of risk, how risky each of these coaches are, but in terms of their experience and all that. I said, the Lakers coaching job is your life savings. James Borrego is an FDIC insured high yield savings account. Like, exactly what you're getting, right? There's no questions there. Sam Cassell is a professionally managed, diversified portfolio of stocks. There's more growth potential, but as of anything that involves stocks, there's risk with that, right? But you do what you can to mitigate it. He's got that experience, plenty of experience in the league, plenty of experience coaching, all that kind of stuff. Just hasn't been a head coach. Meanwhile, JJ Redick has never coached anything aside from a youth league. He's crypto. To the moon, diamond hands, because the ceiling could be very high. He's a very bright basketball mind. He could wind up being a great coach. I mean, we saw Steve Kerr do it, but the floor is also very low because it's just such an unknown. So that was where my brain went when I'm comparing these guys and what they could bring to the Lakers in terms of the amount of risk we're looking at if these are truly the three that they're settled upon. Agree, disagree with that analogy?
So I understood some of the words in there. The ones I understood were Lakers, James Borrego, Sam Cassell, JJ Redick. Some of the rest of that stuff, I don't know. That's but no, yeah, it's funny. It makes me laugh. Now we gotta bring him back in, right? JJ Redick, crypto bro, to the moon, diamond heads, crypto bro, grind mindset. And the Lakers are there, right? The Lakers are like grind mindset. You gotta grind. Come on, bro. Let's go. Grind mindset. Like that's it, man. So there it is. JJ Redick, Crypto Bros. Crypto Bro endorsed front office show.
Somewhere, like I was not thinking about that when I wrote this post. And somewhere deep in my subconscious, Crypto Bro must have influenced this post.
He was there. He was ready.
He's
ready. You know why?
And they're playing Crypto.com Arena. So,
well, he's ready. Because I don't gotta get ready, because I stay ready. Grind mindset.
Oh no, Crypto Bro. Oh man.
I don't know what this show has become over the course of the last few years, but it's become something.
Somehow, some way. We're still here. We're still standing. We'll see if we survive. We made it through the dames of our lives. We survived the Kevin Cannon. We'll see if we live through
the Simmons siren.
The Simmons siren.
What was the hard one? It was a hurricane.
Hurricane Harden. I've got them still loaded here into this. Then we've got we have breaking news. Oh, we have the Adam Silver breaking news. I need to make some more of these. I need to make a Crypto Bro one. That'd be funny. All right. Let's get
I'll make a promise right now.
Yeah.
What's my promise? If the Celtics win the title, I will do an entire show as Crypto Bro this summer at some point. Like I'll come up with a costume and everything. And I will do an entire show as Crypto Bro. Okay. And now I have backdoor forced you into subconsciously rooting for the Celtics to win the championship.
I don't know. On one hand, yes, because it'll be funny. But on the other hand, I feel like I'm getting punished twice. I have to do a whole show with Crypto Bro.
You're like, that could be the show on vacation and you host it all by yourself.
Keith, I'm wearing, if the Celtics win, I'm wearing all black. Yeah, I'm playing funeral music. It's going to be a somber time.
If the Celtics win, I am showing up here. The wall behind me may get painted green. I'm not ruling it out. And I may show up in full Celtics gear ready to go. Let's see.
My gosh. I wouldn't blame you.
I might even grow a wispy Larry Bird mustache. But that'll take like till October, November to grow in, because that's the rate at which I grow facial hair.
Oh no. Well, I mean, if that's what that's just commitment, right? That's just commitment. Then you'll be all ready. You'll be all set for No Shave November.
Yeah, true.
You'll have a head start.
Yep.
All right, let's finishing things off with a coaching situation. Jason Kidd did get a contract extension. We got some details, found out. I believe it's a 2-year extension.
Yeah, that's Jason what it Kidd sounds like.
Okay. One of the things always to keep in mind too with head coaches, and we're seeing this right now with Ty Lue, is like if it's a 2-year extension, if it's whatever, you almost look at that last year as, okay, you have to make a decision by that last year. Technically, they're still under contract, but coaches don't like coaching with 1 year remaining on their contract as a lame duck head coach, essentially, because that can usurp some of their authority in the locker room and everything. When players know, hey, this guy's probably on the way out the door, it can create some issues with the team. So when I see a coaching contract and I see, okay, if it's 3 years, 4 years, or what, or I don't actually see the contract, what's reported, it's a 4-year deal. You really look at it and say, okay, you've got 3 years, and then you really have to make a decision, because usually coaches don't like it. Teams don't like it either to have a coach on the last year of a deal. Usually they'll either cut ties with the coach before then, or they'll give an extension and say, hey, let's keep this rolling.
Yeah, and there's a reason like the Monty Williams contract was so notable, not just for the high dollar value, but it was the years, it was the length, because generally contracts are not that long, in that situation. So we're in a spot where what we end up seeing a lot of times, dogs are going crazy because the garage door is going up. What we end up seeing a lot of times with the coaches is most coach contracts, at least initial ones, are 4 years, but they're really like a 3-1, which is 3 guaranteed years, final year's a team option. What we don't know what Jason Kidd is, 2-year extension. What's always important there is what if the reporting comes with, which takes him through year whatever, right? Or through the X season. And I think this one said the 27, 28 season, maybe, which that tells me, and I may have that wrong, maybe it's 26, 27, I don't know. But that's sometimes what that could tell you is they picked up the option year, and then on top of that, they are now adding 2 more years on top of that. Other times it's 2 more years. But like you said with Ty Lue, that's an extremely rare situation where generally these contracts expire on June 30th or July 1, where we're a month and a half out from him being entirely a coaching free agent, which he really kind of is right now. Because if he really said, I want to go take this other job, one of two things would happen. The Clippers, which is most likely, the Clippers would say, okay, go take the other job. Because what's the point? We're not going to make you sit here as our coach. Or the other options, they say, no, you need to wait. And then the team just says, fine, we'll wait. If we really want to hire him, we'll wait until July 1st and we'll hire him then. Like, it's not because it's the coach. This is not a general manager who needs to run your off season and all that stuff. So that's why you see these things. They don't generally get all that acrimonious with the coach stuff, because there's just not a lot of reason to get there.
I do think an extension ultimately gets done for Ty Lue. And I know we're talking about Jason Kidd here, but I think it's going to happen. It is interesting that it hasn't happened up to this point. As far as we know, the extension's not done just yet, but I do still think it's probably going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I think that changes the Lakers coaching search completely. I think they put all their attention on Ty Lue, and they would move to hire him very, very quickly. But knowing that, I think the Clippers will have that little extra motivation to make sure that they get the extension done with him. But Jason Kidd, and that was probably a factor too in Jason Kidd's extension, was suddenly the rumor comes out, which begs the question, maybe where did the rumor come from? But suddenly the Lakers are interested. Suddenly the Mavs go, oh, no. We want Jason Kidd. Let's get this extension done. So good for Jason Kidd. He gets the extension. And you know what? I'll tell when I watched that Mavs team last night, a lot of people get frustrated with Kidd. I see a lot of Mavs fans that get frustrated. Look, fans of every team get frustrated with their coach. But I did think that Mavs team was playing pretty well defensively for most of it. Were really flying all over the court, doing everything they could to contest. And that was pretty impressive what I saw from them on the defensive side of the ball, even though it didn't result in a win. I thought that was more due to their offense than any defensive concerns.
Yeah, I think he's got those guys play extremely hard all the time, and pretty gutsy move by Kidd and Nico Harrison to say, let's trade for Gafford in Washington and plug him right into the starting five. Like that's a lot of teams won't do that, especially when they're going along well. They were not kicking butt like they are now. They were down around the play-in tournament range at the trade deadline, maybe just out of range of that, but they made that big move and said, let's plug these two guys in and go. So that's big for them, man. I think sometimes we don't give a lot of credit to that. The head coach's job is a lot less X's and O's than I think people really fully grasp. It's a lot more about managing personalities, putting guys in positions to succeed, managing the roster. It's really managing all 18 guys because the two-way players count. Like just knowing you can't. There's a really great quote. It was Steve Clifford said about Michigan when he was the Michigan head coach. I treat every player fairly, but that does not mean I treat every player the same because they're not all the same person.
No.
So I treat them fairly, but I don't treat them all the same. And that's always stuck with me. That's a really good mindset, I think, to have of, you just got to treat people fairly. And Jason Kidd does seem to do that. So we're there with that. And at the end of the day too, Giannis loved him, man. Giannis still talks about Jason Kidd when he was his coach, early in his career and everything he did for him. So for all his flaws, he certainly is doing something right if teams keep hiring him, keep wanting to keep him around.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Another job, this job potentially could become, Tim Connolly, is that going to happen? Where is this going? The Pistons, is it, are they going to call it the president? What, do we even have a title for this job that is going to oversee the Pistons basketball operation side of things?
I think it is probably president of basketball operations. I think it's probably that, or vice president or whatever the version they create. The title inflation has gotten weird, but it's head executive. Like that's really what it comes down to. This person will be Troy Weaver's boss. Troy Weaver will no longer be in charge of the Pistons, front office and the moves they make with the roster. Somebody is going to come in on top, and it's kind of important to get this done because we're in it now, right? We're in the transaction season. We're really there. Trade talks have already begun around the league. Those will pick up obviously over the next month and a half as we approach the draft, and then it's in full going into the offseason. Tim Connolly, yes, sounds like he's their number one target. There was reporting that came out, I think it might have been today or it might have been yesterday, where it was Conley may opt out of the Minnesota job, but opt out to sign a new contract with the Timberwolves, or he may opt out and say, I don't really like where all this sales stuff is going, and maybe he jumps to the Pistons. There's a lot of talk of how much money the Pistons may throw his way, where maybe almost like they did with Monty Williams, it's an absurd sum of money that he maybe can't pass down. It's also been reported, whoever it is, whether it's Tim Connolly or somebody else, they're going to have full autonomy to, if they want to get rid of Troy Weaver, they can. Sounds like they could even get rid of Monty Williams. It doesn't sound like that's a thing, and that's probably not going to be.
That's a lot of years to pay out.
Yeah, but we're hearing a bunch of names thrown out there. We heard the Bucks denied permission for John Horst to interview. They said no, we're not going to let him interview, which makes a division team. You don't necessarily want him doing that. And then Neil O'Shea, who ran the Trailblazers, apparently said no, right? Or Trailblazers. Yeah, apparently it was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to interview. So I don't know. We'll see, right? We'll see where this one goes. It's going to be, I would assume, news soonish. Maybe Connolly's just waiting for the Wolves to wrap up their run, but if things go the right way, that might be a month or more away. That could be all the way in the finals.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the Pistons to call us.
Man,
I think the front office show from the front office, we could handle it. It would be epic. It would be unprecedented. It would be a high upside, if I do say so myself. Maybe low floor move. We might make some mistakes, but we would sure have fun. And I think between the two of us, between the way I like to construct rosters and all of your cap knowledge, I think the two of us with our powers combined, we can turn this Pistons team around. We need to start this campaign right now.
We bring in Bryce to head up scouting.
That's right. Bryce can handle our scouting department.
Yeah.
Off we go.
Yeah, there it is. Hey, I'm I'm in. I'm ready. As long as we can keep doing the podcast. Like,
Yeah, well, that would
we're,
be, you're right.
we're in
That would be
charge. Like, who's going to
key,
tell us we can't? Right?
right?
Like, that's like, yeah, we'll do the podcast. We'll do it right. I'll put a whiteboard right up behind us. That's how confident we'll be. I'll put up our whole strategy behind us, and you can see
Nobody
it.
can stop it.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that what football coaches say? Doesn't know if you're coming. If we execute it right, you can't stop it.
That's
So,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
There it is.
All right. And by the way, speaking of Bryce, guys, make sure you guys check out the Basketball Bulletin, basketballbulletin.substack.com. Some great stuff going up there. I'll drop the link in the description down below.
Bryce is getting into the. I'm sorry, Bryce is getting
Okay.
into the prospects now. Maybe it's everybody in this draft. I don't think a lot of people are super locked in, but he's getting into the deeper guys now. With his scouting notes. So these are the ones that I'm finding very valuable too. Just are guys I have not spent a lot of time on.
Yeah.
And he keeps cranking out different versions of mock drafts, which is fun. We both participated in one here recently, which was a post lottery one. He put that together very quickly. And when he does those, what he does is he brings in a bunch of people that he really trusts that know things, and then he puts it together and he puts his thoughts around that. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we've got a draft topic. It's not a great one, but not as bad as it could have been. Thankfully.
Yeah. Sprained knee. When the news first came out, it was like, knee injury. This is really not good.
Non-contact knee injury too.
Yeah, scary stuff. But sounds like, a sprained knee shouldn't matter too much. But still not ideal, but kind of a sigh of relief here in the draft community. That if this was anything significant, that could have really changed things in the draft lottery, because he's projected. I'm seeing him. Some have him like top 3. I'm seeing a lot of them 4 going to San Antonio there. But if this was something significant, that could have really changed things on draft night.
Yeah, and Nikola Topic, what happened was he's in the Adriatic League finals right now. So he's had a little bit of a weird year. His initial club loaned him out to another club in the same league, but a bigger, higher level team. But then that team's season kind of went a little sideways, and he ended up back with his original club, and now he was trying to help them win the Adriatic League. And what happened with Topic was it was a play in the third quarter. It was like a jump pivot pass kind of thing. It just went down in a heap, non-contact, after he got rid of the ball. And when I saw the play and we didn't have the news, I was like, that's bad. Like, it just looked really, really bad. But all accounts are sprained knees, done for the season. There's I think that was game 1 of the finals, and it's a 5-game series. So obviously done for that. But Jonathan Givony from ESPN said probably going to be back doing his pre-draft workouts by the start of June. So if that's the case, we're talking 2-3 weeks. Good, best news we could possibly get. And he'll be ready to go. And this kid's exciting, man. He's big. I think he's a legit 6'5", 6'6" point guard. Can really handle the ball. He's got a pretty good feel for the game. Shot's a little wonky, but he's very young. He's only 18, so he turns 19 in August. So he'll be a very young rookie coming in. He'll be 19 years old his entire rookie season. So I'm enthusiastic on him. And yeah, Spurs are a common place you see him mocked to in this. And I don't think this is going to change his draft stock in any real way, unless something else comes out later that it's worse than what it looks like.
So sigh of relief there. Relief for sure. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for today. We'll see what tomorrow brings in the crazy world of the NBA. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts as well. And of course, check out the Substack, basketballbulletin.substack.com. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.